and behind the Volve Cavalry General, also following the 1 million Volve Cavalry Legion. There are even thousands of extraordinary level Volve Cavalry. But at this moment, a more majestic pressure. Come to my divine realm. The person coming is none other than the principal, who is a true god. But do you want to break your promise? I just felt the oppression of the true god. He immediately explained that he didn't dare. Just kidding. After saying that, he ordered Huangzu to quickly exit my divine domain. Then he quickly fled the classroom, and the appearance of the true god principal. This caused the teachers and students watching the battle to exclaim. The principal is usually busy with official duties. Only when school starts and graduates can we have the opportunity to meet each other. I didn't expect to witness the principal's power in this competition. The principal's eyes fell on my divine realm. A rare nod. Praised. Then he dispersed and disappeared. The competition is over. Teachers and students have been forced to exit the spectator mode. At this time, the great director Sume saw my excellence, and the more I watch it, the more I like it. Mr. Lan did a good job, but you can't do it just because you have a heroic life form, and proud and complacent. Heroic life forms are not invincible. With your current strength, it's even hard to get into the top 3 in grade. Sume gives a piece of advice. I nodded humbly, just when Sume was about to leave, but I stopped her. Director Su, I have a request. I want to change my shift. The whole class was in an uproar instantly. The one who had the biggest reaction was undoubtedly the head teacher Liu Lishan. After all, my performance is obvious to all. If we continue to develop steadily, we will definitely be able to enter a first-class university. He can also benefit from me. Get awards from school. Liu Lishan quickly put on a friendly look and persuaded him. Mr. Lan, the teacher admits that he didn't pay much attention to you before. I'm here to apologize to you. All resources will be tilted towards you in the future. Please give the teacher a chance to correct his mistakes. But I don't accept Liu Lishan's belated apology. There is life after all. I who have the ability to sacrifice. Don't care what resources are tilted. Then I reiterated my request to change classes. Sume heard and said, Mr. Lan's class is not something you can change if you want. If you really want to change classes, you have to pass the test assigned by the school. Classical Chinese, I firmly say. Then I applied to take the test. The phantom sound has just fallen. Qin suddenly stood up. Director Su, I also want to apply for the test. Liu Lishan saw this. Just crazy. Although I am just a potential stock, it's unclear what the future will be like. But Qin is truly a top student. More importantly, Qin family is powerful. Many industries. Liu Lishan as Qin teacher. There is this relationship. He can get a lot of benefits. If Qin leaves, Liu Lishan definitely suffered heavy losses. Qin, if you have any dissatisfaction with the teacher, you can say it. The teacher must dare. There's no need for us to go to the point of changing classes. Liu Lishan forced a smile and said, but Qin directly interrupted Liu Lishan's thoughts. No dissatisfaction. I just don't want to stay anymore. And Sume also knew that Qin family had a strong background. Don't want to offend. Can only agree. Just when Sume was about to leave again, another student stopped him. Director Su, I also applied to take the test. This student's name is Zhang Zhaolong. He's the monitor of the class. Comprehensive strength ranks among the top 10 in grade. He has always been Liu Lishan's confidant before, but he has always had a crush on Qin. So when I saw Qin changing shifts, naturally, he will follow. At this time, Liu Lishan almost cried when he saw this. After coming home from school, I entered the divine realm to check the current situation. After a fierce battle, the number of self-exploding locusts and pulp-exploding locusts in the god's domain has dropped sharply. Common locust eggs affected by fighting. There are 40% mistakes. But after training, 11 ordinary locusts are produced again in the god's domain. The number of self-exploding locusts has returned to 1 million. There are only 30,000 explosive locusts. Just with this little force, I really don't have the confidence to face tomorrow's test. This is when Zansu Jianfeng felt my arrival, actively praying. Great God, the escaped Volve cavalry is hiding in the mine. Should we destroy them? After hearing that, I immediately issued an oracle. You go and arrest those Volve cavalry. Make sure they stay alive. I'm of great use. Zantai Jianfeng received my oracle. Take action immediately. It didn't take long to capture all the Volve cavalry. Seeing that the time has come to midnight, I use life trap again. With the end of the trap ritual, 3 products appeared in front of me. Option 1 Alpha Measure. Mechanical products comparable to extraordinary life forms. Option 2 Level 1 Furnace Blueprint. Can build a huge furnace. The highest ability to create faith equipment. Option 3 Sentry Towers. Provide long-term perspective. Prevent enemy invasion. Looking at 3 options, I'm very helpless. There is no one suitable for me. Mention Chisel. I remember when I defeated Zhongbin. 800 dwarves captured. I was left to mine in the god's domain mining area. I don't know how it is now. I subconsciously put my thoughts towards it. It turns out these dwarves are doing pretty well. There were originally 800 dwarves and now there are 900 dwarves. There will even be minerals dug out. Create a variety of weapons to keep. This is an old dwarf. Feel my gaze. Immediately move your body and kneel down to me. God, thank you for the wonderful life you have given us. I was even more puzzled after hearing that. Then I used divine means. Read the memory of the old dwarf. It turned out that when I was in Jongbin's divine domain, although dwarves are the core family members, life was not good, because Jongbin asked all the people to be soldiers. Every dwarf is born. They all have to suppress their love for building equipment, mandatory military training. But after being taken into the divine realm by me, these dwarves, completely taken care of by me, mining and building equipment is their favorite. This is compared to Jongbin's divine realm. It's heaven. I'm afraid that the dwarves will have such consciousness. I feel new. Decide instantly among 3 options. Choose the melting pot blueprint. Subsequently, I leave the task of building the forge to the dwarves. As soon as I heard the gods came down and stabbed them, there was a better joke. The dwarves were all excited. They also directly became my real sexual fears. I smiled. The figure disappeared before the dwarf's eyes. And next, there are more important things that have not been dealt with. That's crazy shaved ice. Cope with tomorrow's test. The next day, I came to the classroom to take the test. Unexpectedly, Liu Lishan deliberately targeted me. Qin Shuang and Zhang Xiaolong are both the simplest tests, and my test difficulty. But he adjusted it to hell difficulty, when others have already completed the test. But I still have no results, just because at this moment in my divine realm, intruder. They are a clan of 10,000 elite life forms, the Imperial Goblins. Seeing this, I suddenly felt short of breath. Because goblins have always been born with attributes. Fire resistant, so as a result, my fire-attributed locusts didn't do much damage to it. At the same time, Liu Lishan in spectator mode has a sneer on his face. I blame you for rejecting my kindness. An army of 10,000 red goblins. Enough to penetrate your divine realm. The teaching director Same. No time to look at Liu Lishan's hypocritical face. His eyes have always stayed on my divine realm. He hopes that I can bring him another miracle. As the Imperial Goblin Army invades the divine realm, a war between the two sides is about to break out. I immediately issued an oracle. A total up to 0.6 billion locusts attacked the Goblin Army. And the Imperial Goblin Legion was not to be outdone. Fireballs gathered on their paws, launched towards the locusts, and every fireball can turn dozens of locusts into ashes. Although every second, hundreds of thousands of locusts have been killed, but the casualties of the Imperial Goblins were minimal. I see the right moment now. Release to God's domain again. Self-exploding locusts attack. 5 million self-exploding locusts under the cover of ordinary locusts. Launch a suicide attack on the Goblin Legion. There are endless crackling explosions. Finally, the Goblin Legion was damaged. 6,000 Imperial Goblins were injured to varying degrees. 400 goblins were directly killed. For tens of thousands for the entire Imperial Goblin Army, this little damage is nothing. Have no choice. I can only use my trump card to explode the locusts. Deploy the accumulated 400,000 explosive locusts. Breaking into the Goblin camp instantly. Explode. A large area of lava will burn the place where the Goblin Army is located. Create a lava hell. Some injured red goblins were continuously burned by the high temperature, eventually died tragically in this lava area. But the goblin is an elite fire-based life form after all. The death of 400,000 exploding locusts only took away the lives of 3,000 red goblins. At this time, the teachers and students watching the battle all concluded that he's definitely done this time. Although there is still a heroic life form as a trump card, no matter how powerful the heroic life form is. Can you kill 6,500 Tekrans? And Sume, the dean of students, can't stand it either. Give me a message if you can't hold on. Just give up. Failure is not shameful. Only alive. Only then can we have the opportunity to wash away the shame of failure. I shook my head at this, then ordered Zon Tai Jianfeng to attack, with his for storm sword swinging. A large area is filled with violent sword blades. But the Goblin Legion was not to be outdone. Under a volley of fireballs, Jianfeng Zhanti was also injured. After being attacked by endless fireballs, the whole body is covered with scars when the sword cuts through iron, already in a frozen state. And around him, over 5,000 corpses of Imperial Goblins lay on the ground. The remaining 1,000 or so Imperial Goblins gathered together to create a fireball. Give this tenacious hero the final blow. At the same time, Liu Lishan couldn't hide the joy on his face. He seems to have seen it. The scene where the core of my divine domain is broken. But right now, Battle of the Earth. Only 900 heavily armed dwarves were seen. Rushed out. The old dwarf man looked back and yelled "Guardless God." Killing moment. They rushed in front of more than 1,000 red goblins. The battle situation once again entered a stalemate. The shouts of killing and explosions sounded again. Everyone watching the battle was shocked. They couldn't believe it even more. Except for the core family members, the locusts. He actually raised an extra dwarf army. At this time, the sounds of fighting in my divine domain are getting less and less. With the last goblin, got his head blown off by an old dwarf man. My side won the final victory. But this battle, as a result, the locusts under my command were almost completely wiped out. There are only 50 for dwarves left in the 900 dwarf army. But the good thing is, the heroic life form cuts through the iron with the edge of the sword, but is still alive, while everyone watching the battle is still returning to their seats. Sume has announced the result of victory. Now, teachers sent invitations to 3 people who passed the test, but Monitor Zhang Zhaolong didn't answer. Instead, he set his sights on Xinchuang. But Xinchuang is looking at me. The head teachers immediately realized that I was the key to breaking the situation. But I turned to Sume and asked Director Su, "Can I ask, why is my test so difficult?" Sume replied, "Personal test difficulty. It is decided jointly by all the head teachers of the grade. One immediately chose the one that gave me the most difficult test. 10 head teachers. I want to see how they voted." Sume will find out the voting status and announce the project. Among the 12 head teachers present, 9 head teachers looked embarrassed. I scolded Liu Lishan countless times in my heart. The remaining 2, one is glad to choose. The other one is looking me up and down. Upon seeing this, I asked the 2 head teachers who did not vote, "2 teachers, if I join your class, what can you give me?" I entered the class to seek resources. What the teacher wants to accept me is performance. We both get what we need. I feel confident in my performance on the test. Can gain a higher value for oneself. The 2 head teachers appreciated my directness. Make a reply to today's test. I saw your abilities in developing dwarf curled feet. If you join my class, I can provide you with one. A team of no less than 10,000 dwarves. Rely on this team. You will definitely be in the top 10 in your grade. It is not a dream to enter a first-class university in the future. Another class teacher named Tian Wen said, "The cultivation of core curled feet is the most important thing. I have a few pieces of Zerg curled feet on hand. Very useful resource. If you can join my class, I wish you complete Locust Familiar. The life transition of an entire race." I heard that I directly chose the second head teacher, because I also think the core family members are the most important. And with my joining, Zhang Zhaolong and Qin Shuang also joined in. At this time, Tianwen felt happy, immediately took out 3 resource cards and distributed them to us. When I saw this, my heart suddenly surged. This is a secondary building card. The insect nest covers an area of 1 square kilometer. Can hatch 1 million Zerg every year. The effect of holy objects embedded in the insect nest can be perfect display. That is to say, I built the insect nest behind the divine realm. Can combine explosive heart and lava fire crystal to first level sacred objects. Blessing to the insect nest. The insect nest will use the power of both. Perfectly acts on the gestated insect eggs. So down, I can get 1 million explosive locusts every year. This is comparable to what he is currently cultivating with his growth acceleration ability, growing much faster. Suddenly Sume's serious voice sounded, "Dear teachers, today is just a small trial. Doesn't matter. But after 7 days, the unified examination organized by the school is a top priority, relevant to the future allocation of resources to each class. Dear classmates and teachers, get ready. I enter the divine realm immediately after school. After statistics, we learned my volume contains 2.0 per million locusts, exploding locust 5,000, explosive locust 300. Naked Dwarf 50 to Hero Lifeform Sword Blade Exhibition Body. Then I was surprised to find a new name has appeared, Naked Dwarf. I'm very strange at this moment. Obviously the dwarves in the Divine Realm are just ordinary dwarves. Why did the name change after the First World War? I went to check on the dwarves out of curiosity. The skin of the Naked Dwarf is red, and under their skin, flowing with magma-like blood. Seeing this, I quickly checked the information of the Chilu Dwarf. Chiru dwarves are elite creatures. He is an ordinary dwarf who experienced a desperate and bloody battle. Evolved to the Huan clan. There are 2 talents. One is forging, can improve the host's understanding of forging. The other one is rock blood, can greatly improve the host's high temperature resistance, make it easier for the host to master living attribute skills. I was very surprised to see this. Immediately encourage them to work hard, and at the same time, we must also work diligently to create people, expand ethnic group, and in the following days, I have classes during the day. Crazy shaved ice at night. With the help of growth acceleration, it only took me for days. Then the core group of locusts will be rolled up, restored to its previous size. When the total number of locusts reaches 7.3 billion, also reach the divine environment, the highest limit that can be tolerated. I waved my hand. Use life trap. In an instant, 3 options appeared before my eyes again. Option 1, enter relic gluttony rate increase. After loading the core of God's domain, core races gain gluttony ability. Total food energy used exceeds. You can complete your own own evolution after exceeding your own energy by 1,000 times. But the holy object itself is broken, only works on ordinary life forms. Option 2. The hero template is given to an extraordinary life form for use. Can help him become a heroic life form. Option 3. Point divinity. That is 100 million divine power. I chose the option of first and second level holy objects after 3 considerations. Gluttony. The law plays a big role in taming the locusts at my core. For a long time, far beyond the heroic template and a little bit of divinity. But with my current assets, it is simply impossible to raise too many leopard locusts. So I had to settle for the next best thing. Bless the leopard's law on the insect nest. Targeted breeding of 1 million leopard locusts every year. 3 days passed in the blink of an eye. The unified examination is coming soon. After I entered the divine realm, unexpectedly discovered, a new species of extraordinary life form was born. That's a swarm of giant locusts 1 meter long. I named it the fried locust. Seeing this makes me more confident about the unified examination. The next day, after the teacher explained the rules of the unified examination clearly, everyone enters their own divine realm, only in its center. It's a slowly rotating golden wheel of light. I can feel the breath of each class teacher from it. They are not only responsible for maintaining the normal conduct of the unified examination, also responsible for supervising students to prevent cheating. Not long after, students from all classes have arrived. In the golden halo, an emotionless mechanical voice sounded. The first round of elimination assessment for this year's unified examination is about to begin. Candidates, please be prepared. At this time, many students' faces became nervous. As the countdown numbers count to 1, I returned to my own divine realm, and on the edge of my divine realm, a huge one-way portal appeared. Waves of ominous aura suddenly emerged from the portal. I nervously called on all the family members under my command to cheer up. Deal with foreign enemies. Suddenly there was a rush of sound. I saw a large number of fat monsters wrapped in demonic energy roll around. Seeing this, the corners of my mouth twitched a little. It's just the knockout rounds now. As for playing such a big game, and in front of me is a monster from the demonic abyss civilization, Flesh Devil. Although it is an ordinary life form, but it has combat power comparable to ordinary elite life forms, and the skin is rough and the flesh is thick, extremely resistant to beating. But they have a weakness, just moving slowly. I ordered 50,000 magma exploding locusts to self-destruct with magma. In an instant, the flesh and blood devil was covered in high temperature magma. Every step they take will suffer sustained damage from high temperatures. A large number of flesh and blood devils died on the magma, and their flesh and blood was roasted to produce bursts of meaty aroma. I noticed this. Dispatch Red Sea Brain Dwarf. Drag back some dead flesh demons. Feed the carcass to common locusts. Unexpectedly, locusts can actually digest it after eating, and these corpses are rich in nutrients, full of energy. This gave me a new idea. Hurry up and load the second level holy objects on the insect nest. Gluttony Green Law. On the core of God's domain, exchange of 2 loaded first level holy objects. In an instant, all locusts were affected by the core of the divine domain. They just feel extremely hungry inside their bellies. The flowers, plants, and trees in the divine realm have become their food, including the corpse of a flesh and blood devil. And each locust swells in size while eating. One after another from ordinary life forms, leap to become an elite life form. Less than 2.5 hours of work. My subordinates. There are more than 5 million elite life forms. Leopard locust. At the same time, the class teachers outside the field saw my performance. Praise one after another. But Liu Lishan looked as if he had eaten shit. Humph indignantly. It's just bad luck. It's just a mistake. In terms of strength, his locusts are garbage. Teacher Liu, you said so. I don't agree. While talking, Tian went enlarged the screen, showing the fried locusts I cultivated. The head teacher nearby, who had the ability to detect, saw what was happening. Comments: extraordinary life form. Although it can only be regarded as an extraordinary life form, the existence of bottom. But after all, it can be regarded as crossing the extraordinary threshold. Liu Lishan was reduced to an extraordinary life form. Aren't locusts still locusts? Comprehensive combat effectiveness. It's on par with ordinary life form goblins. Even worse than goblins in some aspects. News Channel argued hard against Mr. Liu. You're being one-sided. You can't always take advantage of locusts. Advantages compared with other races. Locusts can expand their population hundreds of times a year. Can goblins do it? Liu Lishan held back his anger. I yelled that I won't fight with you for those useless things. Let's see the result. There is a student in my class named Liu Mo. His family is the goblins. I bet you Liu Mo's final result will definitely be better than mine. Tianwen and Liu Lixin usually dislike each other. At this time, Tianwen was stimulated and his superiors agreed. As for the bet, whoever loses will pay 5 points of faith. As the assessment of the elimination phase comes to an end, among more than 700 candidates, only 430 candidates passed the elimination phase assessment. At this moment, the head teacher's expression is not very good. This result is somewhat unattainable. But now it's time to choose. Do you want to continue with the ranking assessment step? Another 130 students chose to abandon the exam directly. Some grumpy head teachers yelled out loud. And students who continued to take the assessment. There is a sound above my head. I haven't tested it yet. Start now. I saw the portal in front of them. Out of 100,000 skeleton soldiers, everyone saw this and their eyes widened in disbelief. Because skeletons are the lowest form of monsters. In plain war, it is used as cannon fodder to consume the enemy's combat power, and the first wave of skeleton soldiers in this assessment. Obviously just the lowest level of ordinary monsters. There aren't even any elite monsters in there. This point is almost in vain. At this time, the 130 students who chose to abandon the exam were filled with regret. At the same time, in the divine domain, I looked at the huge number of skeleton soldiers in front of me, somewhat worried. Although the skeleton soldiers are weak, but they have nothing but 2 ounces of flesh, which is not enough to fill the gap between their teeth. After all, now I have more than 1 billion hungry locusts waiting for food to make the jump to life. I sighed helplessly. Immediately ordered more than 1 billion locusts to attack. Moment, the locusts turned into a black cloud and collided with the skeleton soldiers. Countless skeleton soldiers were rolled up high. After a heavy fall, it shattered into a skeleton. Countless locusts were also crushed by skeleton soldiers, turned into meat paste. The scene can be described as a scene where novices are pecking each other. Not very harmful, very powerful. The battle ended after 2.5 hours. The ground is full of locust corpses and broken bones. Locusts affected by the law of gluttony on holy objects. I'm really hungry. It can only satisfy its hunger by devouring the corpses of its companions on the ground. Soon only large areas of withered and yellow grain were left on the ground. Although this scene is really dazzling. But I don't want the divine realm to be polluted by broken bones, so I ordered God's domain again. Let the locusts clean up the bones on the ground. Plunge into the melting pot built by the Chiru dwarves. Burn without waiting for me to rest. The second wave of skeleton soldiers arrives. The number is still 100,000, but it's mixed with a lot of iron bone skeleton soldiers belonging to elite monsters. I can't let ordinary locusts die this time. The combination of self-exploding locusts and explosive locusts shows off its power again. The self-exploding locusts are responsible for containing the explosive locusts, explode with magma, causing huge amounts of damage, leaving behind a fiery magma field, dealing continuous high-temperature damage to the surviving skeleton soldiers. Even if it's an iron skeleton soldier, it's also difficult to survive in magma for too long. Soon the second wave of offensive was defeated by me. After noticing the lethality of magma ground-facing skeleton soldiers, I have a new idea. I directly maintain the magma on the ground. From time to time, let the magma-exploding locusts spray some fresh lava upwards to maintain temperature, and they are also called red hearth dwarves. Use a large furnace to smelt large amounts of ore. Burn it into a hot slurry and pour it onto the magma ground. Do this, turning a large area outside the portal into a death zone. The temperature is so high that it can instantly evaporate the flesh. Skeleton soldiers coming out of the portal. As soon as I stepped in, I was killed by the high temperature. I'll stay outside with peace of mind. Let Zontai Jianfeng keep an eye on the fish that slipped through the net. As several waves passed, no matter how many skeleton soldiers come, they will be easily dispatched. At the same time, my points are getting higher and higher. Easily broke into the top 30 in grade. At this time, Liu Lixin Kenzie outside the court said, "What's so great about it? Isn't it just that we made it to the 7th wave? Our class Liumo also entered the 7th wave." Many head teachers heard. Cast your gaze into Liumo's divine realm. All he saw was his goblin family. A man uses a bone stick as a weapon. And some head teachers noticed, among the goblins under Liumo, a channel made of ordinary life forms has been built. The life transition route to evolve into an elite life form. After ordinary goblin essential oil training reaches the standard, can be promoted to elite life form big goblin. And there are many buildings in Liumo's domain. 13 first-level arrow towers, 9 first-level lightning towers, 12 first-level fireball towers. Just these buildings, the total value will not be less than 10 million divine power. Liu Lishan saw many class teachers looking shocked, feeling proud. And the reason why Liu Mo Divine Realm has its current scale, it all depends on his uncle. But Liu Lishan hasn't been happy for 3 seconds yet. Many class teachers were raped by another student, attracted by the war situation in the Divine Realm. I saw the refreshing Divine Realm, 100 first-level lightning towers, the Thunderbird that destroys the born elite life form. The total number is as high as 300,000. Besides, Xinchuan also has 100 extraordinary life forms and martial arts giants fight as a normal role group auxiliary. And Xinchuang's core scroll, Thunderbird, a heroic life form, the Golden Crown Thunderbird was born. The skeleton that invaded his appetite, no matter what level, can't even hold on for 5 seconds, will be drowned by countless wild thunders. Seeing this, all the head teachers praised him loudly. But Liu Lishan's heart was bleeding, because Qin Shuang was originally a student in his class. His achievements should also be his performance. If I hadn't left, Qin Shuang will not leave either. Liu Lishan now. Resentment towards me has risen to hatred. At this time, with the end of the 10th wave of invasion in the ranking assessment, only 18 students are still persisting. I am one of them. At this time, the students' heads made a mechanical sound again. The 11th wave of invasion is about to begin. The difficulty will be greatly increased. Please be mentally prepared, students. After hearing that 18 students suddenly became vigilant, staring at the portal, I saw a figure slowly walking out of the portal. But when the head teachers saw that figure, the collective let out a cry of fuck. Because of this wave of intruders, he is actually a heroic life form.